baby, I like you. My baby, I die for you. See you, you know, I see you. My baby, you know, I ride with you. My baby, I don't cover that.
Okay. Leaving beautiful Chateau Belair. That was a nice night. Thanks for joining us, guys. Last time I shared a couple of memories, the main one being our climb up Les Soufrières. Wow, I have so much trouble pronouncing that. Les Soufrières. I'm in passage mode. Last time I showed you the beginning of my single-handed passage to Saint Lucia, and it started off very, very calm, but it won't take long. We'll be in some breeze. Should be nice and calm. First little bit. And there's the volcano, Soufrières. In fact, we were struggling for breeze at first, and then I decided to put more head sail out, thinking that it was going to be pretty moderate. That was at least 28 knots now. The forecast for the day, there were about 5 boats all left around the same time, so they were obviously expecting pretty nice condition, but as we left St. Vincent, we got whacked. We got whacked with 33 knots I saw. Now, it could have been a little bit windier than that, but that's the most I saw on the gauge. And 33 knots. It was crazy. So I was frantically trying to get off the breeze. In other words, what I do is when reefing, I head downwind. So I'm going with the wind, which reduces the apparent wind speed, and it makes it a lot easier to furl the genoa. One of the good things about being on a starboard jibe actually is that both the furling line and the jib sheet are on the same side, so that makes it, as a single-handed sailor, that makes it a little bit easier. But it was still pretty full on. It was very, very hard to furl the head sail. There was a lot of, as you can imagine, at 33 knots, there was a lot of tension on the sail itself. And even though I'm going downwind, and it definitely makes it easier, it was still a big challenge. It took all of my strength to be able to furl it. Of course, as the sail reduces, there's less pressure and it becomes a little bit easier. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I ended up getting the sail furled and then got back on course, and that's about where we are now. So I'll race ahead to where we finished off last time on last week's video, and the breeze just started to settle down a bit. It was still pretty full on, we had 20-25 knots probably averaging, but that was a lot less than 33. It doesn't sound a lot less, but wow, it's a big difference. Not only was the wind pretty strong, the seas were bigger than they forecast also. Anyway, let's get back to the sailing. It ended up being not too bad. In fact, it ended up being one of the nicest sails I've had. It was a lot of fun. I had Monastrell just absolutely humming along. It was, in that regard, was a lot of fun. We're hitting the 8 knots consistently. Well, when I say consistently, let's call it 7 to 8 knots. 7.5 to 8 knots, pretty consistently. We're making ground on one boat up here, and then we're pacing. But I might even be making a little bit of ground on this one. But it's certainly not going any quicker. Anyway, let's hope everything goes okay. And again, I'm sure you can't really get to see or tell how big these seas are. Whoa! Yeah, let's just have a look at these seas for just a little while. So once we settled in, I hand-steered for quite a lot of the passage actually. Partly, just to take some pressure off Mr. Autopilot, just to help him out a bit. But also, Mr. Autopilot does a fantastic job, but there's nothing better than hand steering because you can work the waves and anticipate, just if you're concentrating, obviously. So if you are concentrating and enjoying the steering, you can really get into the rhythm and make the most of the waves and the gusts. So it ended up being a lot of fun. Anyway, I hope you can get a feel for how much fun it was with this video. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say that which I did mention in the last video also, that the microphone receiver plug that connects it to the camera was faulty, and I wasn't aware of that until I went to do some editing. And so there's a lot of wind noise, so apologies for that. I'm not sure whether you can see the boats through there, but I'm mowing them down. Well, these guys have just got their heady out, and obviously, oh no, they're towing a dinghy as well. That would be horrible for them. Yes, this catamaran out here, we're actually sailing away from them. The wind has settled a little bit, which is nice. As we progress, it'll probably get lighter, I'm guessing. But wow, yes, it's been full on, really full on. Is it an oyster? It's a big oyster. So this guy's towing a barge. There were several boats out there doing the same passage, and a few of them out front we were pacing each other, and then there were a few others that I was absolutely mowing them down, and this was one of them. But the reason for it obviously was that they just had a handkerchief out for a head sail, and they were towing a dinghy as well. Making good ground, but still 36 miles to go. All I could think of while watching this was how that huge steel towing cable could cut a boat in half if you went through it. Ooh. It's fun having the AIS, being able to keep an eye on other boats around. It passes the time. I'm also keeping an eye on their speed. And there's an old saying that if there's two boats on the water, at least one of them's racing. Is that catamaran? I think we've pulled away from it, but he's gone higher though. Pitons ahead, Saint Lucia. We are sailing between St. Vincent and Saint Lucia. 18 to 25 knots of true Caribbean trade wind, and a rolling 2 to 3 metre swell, lifting us up and dropping us into deep blue troughs. Monastrell feels solid underfoot, yet alive. Every wave has a rhythm, every gust demands attention. The helm tugs and leans, asking for subtle corrections, begging you to feel instead of think. It's physical, it's meditative, and it's utterly addictive. This isn't just sailing, this is being at sea. as the pitons revealed themselves spectacularly at the southern end of Saint Lucia, the wind also settled to a very pleasant 16 knots, almost as if allowing me to take in this breathtaking view. However, it didn't last for very long, and we were hit by a few big gusts that forced us to round up. Maybe a rookie mistake. The very steady 16 knots had me under a false sense of security. So I decided to let out some more head sail to power up again. However, I think it was a little bit premature in hindsight, when I really should have known that the breeze curves around the bottom of Saint Lucia and builds as it does, hence the lifting gusts that hit us very hard. We are back in Saint Lucia after 5.5 odd years. Wow. Again, it feels a bit surreal. And we'll be catching up with Jeff and Josephine soon in Rodney Bay. I think I'll drive into the marina just to see if I can find them in there. Well, I feel very grateful to have made it without any major dramas. Fingers crossed. So if I remember correctly, I think the peak on the right is called Gross Piton, and the one on the left is Petit Piton. And here's another Soufrière, and this beautiful little township of Soufrière lays at the base of the famous pitons. And the catamaran there, he was catching us for a little while because he was still in the breeze, but he's fallen into the doldrums now, and we've sailed away from him again with this gusty stuff. This is him here. Let's see how fast he's going. He's going 7.4. Doesn't give any details of the boat except the name, Zen. That's assuming that's him. That's going to help us get there quicker. Very good. Yeah, we have absolutely left the catamaran behind. Really is stunning. Actually, I miscalculated the distance. We've averaged 7.7 knots for the whole passage so far, including these light spots. So that's pretty good. Happy with that. With Monastrell's old sails. Well, we've lost the wind completely. Just a few knots, and that's at the top of the mast. Looks like there's zero down here. I can't feel anything. Although that cat's got a bit of breeze there. Just a little local breeze. Anyway, we'll leave the main out. We've certainly had a good run, so I'm not about to complain if we have the engine on. For this last little bit, I'm okay with that. Could be some rain heading our way. That would be most welcome. Most welcome. Just wash all the salt off. That would be awesome. Alright, got 14 miles to go. Looks like we'll be doing that under engine. But that's okay. I'm just cooking some lunch, having some curry and toast. Wow, we've been hit by a little bit of a rain squall. I've still got the main up, the engine's running. I'm reluctant to put out the heady again. It might be settling it consistently, but who knows. Anyway, I got to have some lunch, which was nice. So after falling into the doldrums just after Soufrière and thinking that we were probably going to have to motor all the way to Rodney Bay, it surprised me again, and the breeze filled in just beautifully, and we had the most amazing sail almost to the entrance of the Rodney Bay Marina Canal. It was lovely. I thought it was going to be dead calm all the way, but no, it's filled in again nicely. I'll let you know how far we've got to go. It's not very far now. So I just looked up Navionics. That is in fact Marigot Bay, and we have 7.6 miles to go. So at this rate, if we can keep up this speed, we'll be there in about an hour. Just over. Nice. Rodney Bay, Saint Lucia. What a lovely passage. We got a little bit of everything, a little bit of all types of conditions. So, whatever. Alright, we're entering the channel to the marina. Whatever you like, at some stage during that passage you would have got it. 10.3 under the keel. Strong conditions, moderate conditions, surfing waves. So we are in Rodney Bay. And some drifter conditions as well. Some people even like that. I certainly like a variety of conditions, and that's what we got. So my enthusiasm for passaging has been renewed after that one. That was awesome. And thanks to Monastrell for, again, getting me to Saint Lucia safely. Well, Monastrell is in Rodney Bay Marina, Saint Lucia, where she was in April 2018 when we after we crossed the Atlantic. How's that? Good morning. There we go, we've got Jeff's boat behind. So it's a morning catch-up with Josephine and then off to Martinique. Thanks for watching, guys. Join me next time for a Saint Lucia reminisce and a lovely passage to Martinique.